Did you know that many people think healing begins when you start feeling better? The actual truth is, it doesn't. Healing starts when you begin to see differently, think differently, and respond, guess what? Differently. And what if I told you what people call a manifestation isn't magic? It's not wishful thinking. It's actually your brain learning how to build a new reality. And today, I'm going to show you what that really means and how to start using it in your healing journey. This is Walk With Me. Hey, survivors, allies, and hey to all of those people who are here because they are ready to understand a little bit more every single day. Today, we are going to talk about something that gets thrown around kind of a lot, but it's actually rarely explained correctly: healing. And more specifically, how healing actually begins. By the end of this episode, what I'd like for you to understand is how healing actually begins. I also want to talk about manifestation and what that actually means scientifically. And we're going to talk about how to start rewiring your thought, your behaviors, and your future, guys. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you wanted to move forward, but your mind kept pulling you back? Maybe you didn't even recognize it was your mind. Just there was something stopping you from moving forward. You know, you want something better, but your thoughts aren't aligning with that quite yet. It's not failure. That's your brain doing exactly what it was trained to do. And that's where healing begins. So what is healing? So what healing actually is? Let me explain it. Because a lot of people think healing means forgetting what happened or erasing the pain completely. Some people actually think that healing is finally reaching a point where it doesn't affect you anymore. What happened in the past is gone. Guys, that's not healing. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. It is, however, avoidance. It's an unrealistic expectation for healing. Healing is not about removing the past, right? Healing is about changing your relationship to it. That's really important, guys. I hope that really resonates, because understanding that it's not changing what happened to you, it's just changing how you think about it, what your relationship with it is. So the thing that healing does is it stops controlling things like how you think or how you feel. It also affects how you react to things. It really works on how you live your life today. Here's the part that a lot of people may not understand. Healing isn't a moment. It doesn't happen. It's not a light switch. It's a process. It's a process of retraining your mind and your body all together throughout time, through repetition. So let's talk about the real framework of healing. And there's 5 shifts that I really want to go over. So before we dive into the 5 shifts, I want to put some background and context to them. I don't want it to sound like I'm presenting them like I'm the inventor of this, because I'm not. What I've done here is take what survivors, trauma-informed professionals, recovery principles, and real lived experiences keep pointing us back to again and again. And I wanted to put a language to it that feels usable, something that feels human, real. This framework is built from patterns that show up across trauma recovery work, survivor healing journeys, advocacy spaces, mental health education, and the kind of personal rebuilding that happens when somebody decides they are done surviving on autopilot. It is shaped by trauma-informed ideas around safety, self-awareness, nervous system regulation, boundaries, support, identity, and rebuilding trust with yourself over time. Okay, so when I say the real framework of healing, I do not mean this is the only framework. I mean this is a grounded one, a practical one, a framework built from real principles that show up over and over and over again, especially in the healing process. Whether somebody is recovering from abuse, sexual trauma, emotional harm, toxic conditioning, or years of living disconnected from themselves. I also want to say this: healing isn't linear. We said this before, yes? It is not clean. It is not a 5-step checklist where you do one thing, unlock the next level. This isn't a game. This is not how that works. These shifts are not rules. I like to consider them like anchors. They are places to come back when you feel lost or when you feel overwhelmed, when you get discouraged or tempted to believe you are failing just because healing is fucking messy. It is messy. What I'm trying to offer here is not perfection. I want to offer you a little bit of structure. I want to offer this structure in a language for things people feel but cannot always name. I had to learn how to name them. I felt them, but I couldn't verbalize them. And that's what I want to give to you. I want to offer a framework that can help you understand where healing actually begins and what it often asks of us as we move forward. So with that said, let's get into those 5 shifts in the real framework of healing. Number 1, awareness. This affected me. We have to say it out loud. We have to believe ourselves when we say this. This is where healing can begin. Not when things get better, guys, but when you finally acknowledge that you were affected by it. Heavily, I may add. What happened to you mattered. What happened to me mattered. This is where you stop minimizing that shit because maybe people around you minimized it your whole life. But this is where you stop brushing it off. This is where you stop pretending it didn't shape you because it did. Because you can't change something that you cannot acknowledge. You have to see it. You have to speak it. That is the first part. This happened to me. This affected me, and this created a reality I no longer want to be a part of. That's your statement. But it's not just about saying it. You must believe it. Acknowledging something is truly believing it. That, my friends, is shift number 1. Shift number 2, you've acknowledged it. Now comes the understanding. This is how it shows up in me. Now we must recognize, we're connecting the dots now, right? Because now you're going to start beginning to notice things like your triggers, your patterns, your reactions, your beliefs about yourself. That is the big one. Guys, fuck, I just want you guys to all understand that all of us, all people with trauma, any type of trauma, doubt themselves at some point, whether it was because of our partner's coercion or our parents' coercion or the things that people around you were telling you. But this shift allows you to start to believe yourself. You start recognizing what you believe and what you honestly feel is true or not. This is important because you start seeing things like, I shut down when I feel unsafe. That's what your mind tells you to do. That's what your body is trained to do. I overreact when I feel disrespected. Boom. React, react, react. We've spoken about this. Another one is I avoid because I don't trust. Your trust level, my friends, is one of the largest things that diminish or decrease when you're in the beginning stages of healing. That is one thing, trust, that takes one of the longest to build back. And that's okay, right? Because this isn't about perfection. This is about doing things every day, over and over and over again. This part, this shift is where things actually start making sense because you can see them, yes, but also you understand why you feel, react, or believe certain things because you've recognized it over and over again. So this is very important. We're going to move to shift number 3 now. Separation. This is where you tell yourself, this is what happened, not who I am. When we begin to separate those two things, it becomes one of the most important shifts you will do throughout your healing journey. This portion continuously happens. You start seeing separation between what happened to you and who you are as a person show up multiple times throughout your healing journey, throughout the rest of your life. This is huge because trauma has a way of becoming identity, right? It works within you, your nervous system. You go from, I experienced something painful, to, I am broken, I am damaged, this is just who I am. Healing begins to break that. What happened to you is part of your story, 100%. There is no denying that. But it is not your identity. You see the difference there? And this is where separating those two train of thoughts is so important, because you begin to understand what truly defines you as a person. And it wasn't that. It ain't what happened to you, my friends. Shift number 3 is groundbreaking. And again, you won't do it perfectly at the beginning. You won't do it perfectly 20 years down the line, but you'll do it over and over again. And it's something that you'll recognize multiple times throughout your journey. Okay? Shift number 4. Now we begin to do something that's called repatterning. Now I can tell myself I can respond differently now. Yes, this is where the work really begins. You've noticed things, you've recognized things, you've started to separate what was and what can be or what will be. And now you're not just aware, you're choosing differently. You begin pausing instead of reacting, questioning your thoughts instead of just believing them, choosing response instead of defaulting to your previous patterns. Love this. And this, going back to what I mentioned earlier, is where manifestation, real manifestation, comes in. Because you are literally rewiring your brain through repetition. Love it. We're going to get more into manifestation, I promise. I'm excited about it. Number 5 shift, integration. This is where you can begin to tell yourself, this, what happened, no longer controls me. Realizing when you've taken a different action real time, it almost surprises your ass. It almost knocks you on your ass. You take an action a certain way, you recognize something before you react, do something, and you go, holy shit, I've never done it like that before. I've never taken the time to actually respond to something in a manner that I feel is acceptable to me. Real time, guys. It may not be every single time, and that is okay. But you do begin to recognize the times you do, in fact, react differently. It's lovely. It's a lovely revelation. It doesn't mean it never affects you again. I hate to always throw that bad news at the end, but you need to be prepared. But what it does mean is that it doesn't run your life anymore. You can feel something. You can feel without being consumed by it. And that, my friends, is easier said than done. This is tough. I get it. But it is a marvelous, marvelous moment. You can remember something without being pulled back into it. That's freedom. Because prior to this happening, when you remember or think of a time in that past, it draws you completely into that darkness. You were trapped. You were in that cage once again. And once you get to this step, once you start recognizing this step happening over and over again, you can think about those times, because you're gonna. And it doesn't destroy you. It doesn't entrap you again. You just remember it. And there's a difference there. So those are the 5 shifts of the real framework of healing. So we had awareness, we had understanding, separation, and then we had repatterning, which is not the easiest word to say. Integration, number 5. Let's simplify this. Healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about becoming someone who is no longer controlled by what they've been through. That is the breakthrough. That doesn't happen overnight. And I know that I sound like a fucking broken record when I say that. I just want to make it clear to you that I'm not selling you this get healed quick ski. That's not what we're here. We're walking together this path, ongoing forever and ever. And it doesn't change the fact that you get better. It doesn't change the fact that you feel better, that you grow, that you get stronger. Just because this is a lifelong journey doesn't make it bad. This growth is fabulous. It's excellent for you. It happens through awareness. It happens through understanding, through separation of certain thought patterns and consistent new choices. Healing isn't about the past disappearing. We've said this. It isn't about the past all of a sudden being erased from your mind. But what it is it's becoming stronger than the control it had over you. So now I want to get back into talking about manifestation. I have seen and read and watched a lot of different things regarding manifestation. I never got really deep into it like I just recently have from something I watched. But in the past, I've had a very elementary view of you think positive thoughts, you sit there and every day you think those positive thoughts and they will come to you. These things that you want will come to you. And I get it. That's an easy sell, right? That's something that people will be drawn to because it sounds so beautiful, right? Like, of course, just think of something and it appears or it happens over time, right? Then I found some videos from a Dr. Jim Doty, D-O-T-Y. This dude, bro, I don't speak about a lot of men like this. It's hard for me to trust men only because of my background. But this man, this is a man. This guy is a brilliant man. And he talks about the science of manifestation. Okay. So Dr. Jim Doty is a neurosurgeon and he studies compassion and the brain correlation. Okay. He discusses how that completely reframes manifestation. The way he talks about it, it's not about wishing. It's not visualizing without action like I was talking about. It's not just thinking positive and hoping or expecting it to happen, right? These are some of the things that we've seen manifestation described as. And like I said earlier, it's not magic. I wish it was. Of course I wish it was, but it's not. What he says is your brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. What you focus on consistently becomes your reality. So some of the things that you've heard in the past kind of sound like that, but let's kind of dive a little bit deeper because this is what it actually is. The process of training your brain and nervous system to align your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions toward a different outcome, a different life. All right. So let's talk about the science behind it. Your brain, believe it or not, is constantly scanning for patterns, looking for reinforcing beliefs, okay, predicting outcomes. So what we say to ourselves on a daily basis are things like, I'm broken, I'll never be okay, I'm stuck like this. Your brain will literally filter your reality to confirm that. Remember, we've talked about our algorithms before, right? Same jam. What you speak into existence, your brain begins to believe. And that's what attracts those things or that life. But here's the cool thing. When you begin to shift that with those 5 shifts, or maybe another framework that works better for you, you start to do that intentionally because we're not joking around here. We're doing these things on purpose. Your brain starts building new pathways. Our brains are amazing, people. It can do some serious shit. Some shit that I will never understand. Some shit that some doctors will never understand. But it actually starts building these new pathways. New pathways. That's called neuroplasticity. All right. And I know what you're saying. Why do you keep bringing these words that you can barely pronounce onto your podcast? Because it's important. Okay. So I'm not going to say neuroplasticity too often, but let me give you the definition of it. Neuroplasticity is defined as the brain's ability to reorganize and adapt its neural connections in response to what? Learning, experience, or injury. So Dr. Dottie explains that really, really well when he says, what you repeatedly think and feel literally reshapes your brain. That, my friends, is manifestation. It's not magic, right? Let's do some real talk here. We're gonna stay grounded here. We're not gonna get fluffy. You don't manifest healing by sitting around thinking about it. I am sorry if I'm the bearer of bad news when it comes to that. That just does not happen. You do, however, manifest healing by changing how and what you think, changing how you respond. And then when you begin to understand how to do that, you repeat those patterns constantly. That is manifestation. The beginning of healing is everything, because this is where your patterns are still very strong. Your triggers are still very, very active. Your identity still feels tied to your past. But this stage, this is where your brain is most malleable, guys. This is where change actually starts. For instance, let's say you're triggered. Your old pattern is, I'm not safe. I need to shut down. I need to react. Your nervous system is put into survival mode. But once you start working these healing patterns, once you start recognizing things, separating things, speaking things into existence, when you get triggered, you say, I'm triggered right now, but I'm safe right now. I can choose how I respond. That shift, that's actually your brain rewiring itself. Okay? Something anybody can do. There are 3 core steps when it comes to this. This is a Dottie-inspired real-world application. Okay? Let's make it real, because this is where people get manifestation extremely wrong. They think it's wishing or hoping or visualizing something once and waiting. That's not it. What Dr. Dottie teaches and what neuroscience supports is this. You are training your brain to recognize, to believe, and to act on new reality. And that happens through 3 things. Number 1, clear intention. Define who you are becoming. I love this one. You are going to define exactly what you want. This is where everything starts. You have to build the blueprint, because if you don't define where you're going, your brain will default to where it's been. Did you hear me? That's very important. So the question that you must ask yourself is not what happened to me. It's who am I choosing to become now? And I want you to really, really hang on that word, choosing, because healing is not passive. In the past, you didn't get to choose a lot, if anything, that you did or who you were. Now you are choosing. So be intentional when making that choice. This might sound like, I want to become someone who feels safe in their own body. It might be, I want to become someone who trusts themselves. That's what it was for me, because I did not. And it might be something like, I want to become someone who responds, not reacts. A reaction is just like, go. Responding is with intention. This is now your direction. And why does this matter? Because your brain uses intention as a filter. Yes, it's constantly scanning your environment for confirmation, for patterns, for opportunities. Yes? So when you set a clear intention, you're telling your brain, this is what matters now. You put your brain on a search. It's like Google. You put in how to become a firefighter, it's going to list all the ways you can become a firefighter. That's what you're doing to your brain. You're putting a search in. And your brain starts aligning your awareness with it so you can see them. So you can see those intentions, those things that you're looking for. For example, I want to become someone who feels safe. You start noticing when you feel unsafe. What triggers that feeling? Where you actually are safe. You notice those things. That's awareness. That's step one of rewiring. Yes, exciting. Guys, I know, I get excited because this is good. The ability to find this information today is amazing to me. And I get so excited because there is hope. Let's get back on track. Get back on track, Torres. Emotional alignment is number two. Step number two, feel it before it's fully real. This is where most people can disconnect because they think, I'll feel better once I heal. No, bullshit. No. That's wrong. You will not feel better once you heal. The truth is, you have to start feeling differently to heal. This is a big one because this isn't just about healing. This is about every aspect of your life. You're taught by professionals, by career-minded motivational speakers. You want to become that vice president of operations? Then you start acting like the vice president of operations now. When I was in management, I would tell the people who I manage, if you want to become this or that, start fucking acting like this or that now. Not pretending, not fake it till you make it. Your mentality. This is who you are. That is the start. Okay? And in healing, that's how you begin feeling differently. Your brain does not respond to logic first. It responds to emotion. That's why trauma sticks. Because in case you haven't noticed, it's fucking emotional as hell. So emotional alignment means you begin practicing the feeling of safety. What does that look like? You begin practicing calm, control, self-trust, even and especially in the beginning, in small moments. You have to believe that you are these things to know that you are these things. That is not faking it until you're making it. That is practicing it until you've perfected it. And perfection, my friends, I'm not big on that word, but you understand the saying. You understand the sentiment of it. So what does this look like practically? Again, it is not pretending everything is okay, because it's not. And that's okay. But in moments where you can, you slow down and say, I'm safe right now. Feel it. Look around. Understand what the environment is. Why do you feel safe right now? Or in a situation that you can handle. I can handle this. Recognize that shit. Don't pretend you're handling it. So handle it and feel what that means. Another one is I'm in control of this moment. It could be as small as ordering a coffee in the morning. You're in control of that. Feel how that feels. I get to pick exactly how I want that coffee. I'm in control right now. Let your body feel that. I know it sounds small. Shit, I know. I know that this sounds like silly as hell, but you don't understand, if you've never done this before, how powerful this can be and how powerful it can feel, even for a brief amount of time. Who fucking cares if it's 30 seconds of, I feel fantastic? When was the last time you felt fantastic for 30 seconds? And how are we going to get to feeling fantastic for 3 hours when we can't even give ourselves 30 seconds? Give yourself that. Why does all this matter, David? Why does this matter scientifically? Because some of y'all need that, and that's okay. Dr. Dottie explains that when you combine intention, emotion, and focus, you begin activating different neural pathways. This is real. It's really happening. It's neuroplasticity. Remember, you're literally teaching your brain, this is the state that we live in now. This is where we're at now. It's not what we used to be, but this is where we're at now. For instance, your old pattern was you got into a panic, you shut down, and you started reacting, just going. See what happens. The new alignment is you pause, you breathe, you remind yourself, and then you respond. You don't react, you respond. That moment, that's rewiring happening right then and there, right in front of your ass. That is your brain creating new neural pathways. It's powerful shit. Some of you need to hear it in the scientific way. Some of you just need to hear your brain can fucking fix itself. And it does. Through your words, through your actions, and through you recognizing those things. You see it, you recognize it. Number 3, something I preach in almost every freaking video I make. Repetition through action. Make it real through behavior. This is the part people skip. I know that because I skipped it for decades. I was really good at recognizing. I was really good at practicing it here and there. But I did it once or twice, didn't get anything out of it, and I fucking left. That's why it took me so long to re-establish those neural pathways in your brain, or to retrain my brain, because this is where it stops becoming just an idea. It becomes your life. It is your lifestyle now. You don't become someone new by thinking differently once, twice. You don't do it that way. You become someone new by acting differently repeatedly. It has to happen over and over again. I will never sell you it's easy, because it's not. I'm not sitting here yelling at you like, you can't just do it once or twice, man. The fuck? I'm not mad at you for failing to do it. I'm telling you that's what has to be done to get to where you want to go. And you can fail a million times, and it's okay. As long as you know that it's not going to work until this starts happening, that's important. Because at some point you are going to do it. You're going to say, I'm done. I'm done not really giving this a shot. Because I'm tired of the past continuing to be my present. Setting one boundary instead of avoiding it. Pausing before reacting. Choosing a healthier response. Follow through on something small. Not once. Not twice. Consistently. That is what matters. You know what else matters? Is when you repeat yourself, your brain actually strengthens. Okay? Every time you think the same thought or feel the same emotion, notice those same actions you're taking. You reinforce the pathway. You're retraining your brain. So when you choose a new action, even a small one, you are literally building a new version of yourself. Neurologically, not just on paper. It is literally retraining your brain. So when I shut down, when things get uncomfortable, and I start to revert the way I'm thinking, and I start reteaching my brain how to do things, I stay present for 10 more seconds than I normally would. I don't just completely shut down right then and there. That's it. That's the shift. And when you repeat that, it becomes your new normal. The reason it's so hard in the beginning is because you're not used to doing that. It is not your go-to action. You have been conditioned to act another way for survival. That's not a bad thing. But you want a new way. You don't want to be triggered every time. So instead of shutting down, you're going to stay present right there. 10 more seconds. I can handle this for 10 more seconds. Or 5. And then the next time it's 10. Getting uncomfortable is part of this. Because you cannot learn something new without being uncomfortable. It's literally impossible. So let's bring this all together. Let's simplify it. Healing is not magic. And manifestation is not magic. Let's run it back. You decide who you're becoming. You begin to feel it. And then you act like it consistently. That's how you stop living in the past and you start building your future. And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to walk this path because I know healing is possible. And I want that for you. I want to be clear here at some of the things that I'm saying today and put it into a perspective that's a little bit broader. This is whole life impact. This doesn't just affect or change your healing process. It changes everything. That is what healing is. It changes your relationships. It changes your confidence. It could even affect your career positively, obviously, your discipline, your self-worth, and that is huge in all of your life. Your internal world shifts. Your external life follows. All of it. That is attracting. That is manifestation. So, saying it clearly, your past matters. What happened to you mattered. But what you build next, that is still yours. That's not pressure. That's possibility. And I want you all to know how very possible this is. Okay, this week's challenge. I know I spoke about Dr. Dottie, and again, his information, or at least some way you can see some of his videos. This guy's so smart. He's such a beautiful man. Like, seriously, you need to go check him out. But he says, if you want to change your life, you must first change the story you tell yourself about who you are. I love that. So for the next 7 days, you are going to begin rewiring your narrative. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I'm stuck or I can't do this, this is just who I am, you pause. Take a moment and try replacing it with, I am learning, I am building, I'm giving myself grace to fail, and I am becoming something different. And then do me a favor, back it up with one action. Every day would be great. Once a week would be okay too, but no exceptions. And tell me how you feel about it. I can't wait to hear. Okay. All right. So this week's fashion tie-in is about identity. It's about culture. It's about power. Let's bring this into something real, because healing doesn't just show up in your thoughts. It shows up in how you present yourself to the world. There's a reason that fashion has always been tied to identity. Designers, stylists, even psychologists talk about this. What you wear isn't just clothing. You're communicating. There are so many different brands out there. Or even just look at like celebrities, how they carry themselves off of the court or off of the runway. It doesn't have to be loud, my friends. It doesn't have to be chaotic. It has to be intentional. You know, whether they're clean lines or a calm energy, a controlled presence. It's not just style. It's your identity. And here's where it connects to healing. When you've been through trauma, many of us shrink. We hide. We stop expressing ourselves or never learn how to express ourselves because somewhere along the way we stopped feeling safe or never felt safe to be seen. So when you begin healing, you start making different choices. Even in something as simple as what you wear, how you carry yourself, how you show up in a room. And that shift, it's deeper than it looks, because what you're really saying is, I'm not fucking hiding anymore. I'm choosing who I am now. There's a concept in psychology. It's called, let me read this correctly, enclosed cognition. It's where what you wear actually impacts things like how you think, how you feel, how you perform. So this isn't just surface level, it's behavioral. Have you ever noticed the difference between throwing on whatever, like you just crawl out of bed and you know you got to go get gas your car, so it's the first thing you do and you don't give a shit what you look like. You know, you just throw on whatever and you go out and run whatever errand you have to do, versus when you choose something intentionally. You walk differently. You speak differently. If at all, you carry yourself differently. That's not confidence just magically appearing. That's alignment. Okay, so when you're healing, Don't overlook this. Pay attention to that next time you go out, whether you've intentionally picked what you're wearing or you just grabbed and went. Pay attention to that. You don't have to become someone else. I don't want you to become someone else, but you get to decide who the fuck you are and how you want to show up now. That is your choice now. Fashion isn't about impressing people. That pisses me off. Why is she wearing that? Why is he wearing that? Fuck you. It's about expressing your identity. If you don't like it, or if you don't like somebody's identity, then don't look at it. Because my friend's identity is exactly what you're rebuilding. Let's go. I love it. This is what Walk With Me is about. Not just understanding what happened, but building what comes next. Healing is not the end, and never will be. But it's the beginning. And what I want you all to know is that you get to dictate how you begin and how you move forward. And that is powerful. So let's bring this home. Healing doesn't start when everything feels better. It starts when you decide to think differently, to respond differently, to build differently. You're not stuck, my friends. You're patterned. And guess what? Patterns can be changed. Not with magic, but with your brain, with you learning something new, with you repeating those new learned things. And that's progress. And guys, we know that progress is the point. So until then, take care of yourself. And I'll see you on the path. Hey y'all, thanks for walking with me today. If something in this episode resonated with you, you can find resources, support organizations, and additional information at walkwithmepod.com. Whether you're seeking help for yourself or someone you care about, those resources are there for you. You can also connect with me on social media. All of the links are in the show notes and on the website. I always welcome your reflections, questions, and stories. And with your permission, some may even help guide future episodes as this community continues to grow. If you believe in what we're building here, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It truly helps this message reach more people who may need it. And if someone came in mind while you were listening today, consider sharing this episode with them. Sometimes a single conversation can open the door to healing. Until next time, keep moving forward, one step at a time. Psst, this part is super important, my friends. I want to be very clear about something. I am not a licensed therapist, a counselor, a psychologist, or a medical professional. The content shared on Walk With Me is based on personal experience, research, education, and lived perspective, not professional or clinical advice. This podcast is intended for educational, reflective, and community-based conversation only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health care, medical treatment, legal advice, or crisis intervention. If you are in immediate danger, experiencing a crisis, or need professional support, please contact emergency services or a licensed mental health professional or a trusted support organization right away. Resources and hotlines are listed in the show notes and on walkwithmepod.com. Listening to or participating in this podcast does not establish my therapeutic, professional, or client relationship between you and I. My goal here is to open conversations, challenge harmful patterns, and offer insight and hope. But your safety, healing, and care deserve qualified, professional support when needed. Please take care of yourself